Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the three main secrets that has allowed me to generate an extra $12,000 a month by using something known as real estate rental arbitrage. And all I've been doing is I've been using other people's properties and sometimes even other people's money and other people's credit to generate passive cash flow. And it only requires about 20 minutes for me to manage it per day, and that's amongst all my portfolios. So now in this case study, it's basically a one-bedroom apartment that's generating me in passive real estate cash flow of $20,000. I mean, of $12,000 this month, but overall we're making anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 a month using this business. And so I want to share this with you. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Al-Mamun. I was always interested in making more money, and as I start to realize that I could make money passively by creating certain systems, I'm always more interested in doing that over and over and again. So, I mean, before that, I tried network marketing, I tried drop shipping, I made some money with drop shipping a little bit. I did affiliate marketing, I made pretty good money with affiliate marketing as well, alhamdulillah. And now I want to share with you, along the time, I had a simultaneous parallel journey between affiliate marketing and this model, which is on Airbnb, basically real estate cash flow. And although I haven't been talking about this has been something on the side as like a hobby because it took so little time. And it's great if you want to get started with it as a beginner to generate passive cash flow. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning, you can do this because you can do this with a spare bedroom if you have, or a spare garage or whatever, or you can do this using other people's properties, which is mainly what I have been doing and which is what I'm focused on right now currently. So before we go forward, let me go ahead and share with you the proof here on the success and what we're talking about here in this case study, and then we can go into a little bit more details and stuff, inshallah. So this one is for the month of May here, and last time I tried to do this, it wasn't very clear, but if you can take a look at that, that's like already $1,000 paid out, and you'll see upcoming over there an extra 10,400 or something like that is coming in. So overall, 10,800 and $1,141. So around $12,000 has been generated in this specific account, and this is what I'm going to be paid out this month, alhamdulillah. And the reason why is many different things, which I'm going to get into, but let me get into the breakdown of the numbers here. So we're going to stay specific to the number 12,000 because it's just easier to do the math, okay? So $12,000, okay, so I'll do it like this. So you see $12,000 right here, and the rent. So when you're doing rental arbitrage, what you're doing is you're basically renting out somebody else's apartment, and they're looking for a tenant, but you come in and you make the deal with them. Hey, I am a tenant, but I'm a business person, and you basically do the negotiation, which we talk about in our programs. If you're interested in like a 3-day challenge where I break everything down and how you can do it, as well as I give you major bonuses such as the landlord script, it'll be down in the description. You can go ahead and check it out. But like, what you're doing is you're making a deal with a landlord who has a vacant apartment, or wealthy investors or real estate investors, whoever it is, you want to make a deal with them, take that apartment. Now, the great thing is you already have the skill set. You know how to find apartments because chances are you've been a tenant before. And anyone who has been a tenant has the skill set of finding an apartment and acquiring that apartment. The only variable here is we just have to be upfront and transparent. Hey, we're doing this for business purposes. Now, there is a major advantage on our side, and it's beneficial for both sides and all parties involved. The reason why is because the landlord, I've been doing this for 8+ years, right? Alhamdulillah, I've been doing really well. I've generated well over 7 figures throughout. So the landlord wants a few things. Number one, they want the rent on time. That's the biggest thing, right? But number two, coupled with that, is they don't want any problems, right? Whenever a landlord, when they think of, oh, I'm going to buy a house and rent out an apartment or whatever, or I'm going to invest, they're hoping for passive cash flow with less headaches. And the reason why they can do that is they have more money, or they thought that they can just save some money and do that, right? The reason why it's beneficial for you is if you don't have a huge down payment, or if you don't want to risk your down payment, this is a way where you can just put in a little bit and break even in a few months, 4 to 5 months. Whereas if you're going to put down 200K on a house, on $1 million house, it's going to take you a pretty long time to actually break even and make money on top of that. All right. Now, also, I'll give you another note, and maybe I'm talking a lot here. You should take notes if you are really trying to gather the information. Typically, the way we like to share with it, and the way I share inside of the 3-day challenge, is we want to make minimum 2x, but generally we make around closer to the 3x the rent. So if the rent was $1,000, we should be making at least $2,000 to $3,000 for that per month on average. So that way we can have wiggle room for expenses, and then we have room for our profits. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So what as I was mentioning is because we're renting out other people's properties, kind of like a tenant, you still have to pay rent every single month. And so that rent is something we subtract. And so the way it works is you get an apartment, it's very simple. You get an apartment, you set it up. It takes 2 weeks to set up, and then after you set it up, you just automate it so that it runs pretty much on autopilot 95% of the time, and you just manage it for about 20 minutes a day initially. So once you get that going, it's just like you charge it by the night. And so like you just got to make sure that you make enough money to pay the rent off, pay off your expenses, and then have money left over that's worth it for your investment or for your time that you put in to set it up. The great thing is it's only a 2-week setup once you find the property, and then after that you're literally profiting for years, ideally if you have long-term lease, and which is what we suggest and which is what we share. All right, so now that was a very long lead in, but let me get into it. $12,000 for this apartment. Let me give you a little bit more information. So this apartment is a 1-bedroom apartment. Now anybody who does a 1-bedroom apartment, they're not making $12,000 a month on a 1-bedroom apartment. I can 100% guarantee it. If there's anybody who does that, hey, let's talk, because it's unheard of to be able to bring out $12,000 in a month for a 1-bedroom apartment is unheard of, because I have certain skill sets and I have certain additions. I have certain things that I do, certain ninja hacks that allows me to charge more per night, and that also allows me to generate more revenue than your typical Airbnb host. Okay, so this one, $12,000. Now, the biggest expense is going to be your rent. So we subtract, typically, the rent, which is, in this case, it's a 1-bedroom apartment, and the rent is $2,150. So we do $2,150, right? So now that leaves us $9,850 to play with, right? That's the cash flow that we have left after paying rent. Now we talk about expenses. Now, if you're talking about additional expenses, you have cleaning costs. So every time a guest comes in, they stay maybe 3 days, 4 days, a week, whatever. After that, you go ahead and pay your cleaner to come and clean, because you don't want to clean. I don't want you to clean. That's not the whole point of this business. The whole point of this business is so that you can operate it from your 9-to-5 job or from across the world and traveling, sitting on a beach, which is what I've been doing. I was doing literally like 60 days ago, 90 days ago, when I was in Thailand for over a month. And then when I was in the village in my country in Bangladesh, I was literally just chilling and just letting my cleaners do everything. 95% of the business being operated. And I just got a message for one of the Airbnbs. Let's see if it's a booking. That would be really cool if it was. Let's see here, because I'll be like, oh, that's live right there. Okay, no, that would be cool. Okay, and that's another account. I'll talk about that later. So 9850 is what we have left here. Now, so cleaning costs, and then like utilities and any other additional expenses like internet, stuff like that. So on average, typically it's around $1,500 per month for my cleaning costs. So in this case, I actually have a little bit of a longer stay, someone who's staying about like 10 days or something like that. So there's less cleaning cost, right? So we're just going to take $1,500, like the average for expenses. So we do subtract $1,500. Okay. So again, let me recap. We started off at $12,000. We subtracted the rent of $2,150, and now we're subtracting $1,500 for the additional expenses. That leaves us at $8,350. So we are going to be earning around $8,000 profit from this 1-bedroom apartments, and that's what I want to share with you here today on how I got to this point, and how you can, inshallah, God willing, replicate this for yourself so that you can do the things that I want to inspire you to do. And that's what this channel is about. It's really about helping you become a better, more developed and more basically more developed version of yourself. What I mean by that is that like whoever your potential can be, we want it to be in reality. We don't want to just be a part of our dream and fantasy or in what could have been, but we want to be closer to our potential, right? Whatever our potential is, everyone is definitely operating under their potential, what they could have been, but we want to really push that so we can at least strive towards our potential. So the whole point is we can't do that if we're working in a 9-to-5 job. We can't do that if we're stuck and worried about our bills. We can't do that if we don't have a way out where we can stop trading time for money, and we can create systems that create passive cash flow for us so that we can do things like spend time with family, do things like work on ourselves, do things like take care of our health, do things like travel, do things like buy gifts and really enjoy our time better, and increase and spend time in hobbies, or do things like start on our passion business, whatever that could be. So and the other on top of that is, once you have this cash flow coming in, and it only takes you such low effort, like 20 minutes a day, then you have time freedom. Now you have location freedom, because you only need a phone to manage this, because you don't need to be stuck in a cubicle, or like in my case, I had to be stuck in a taxi cab. So you don't need to do that. And then that's on your way towards financial freedom, because what you do is you create this cash flow, and then you can use it to continue to scale, or you can use it to invest in your passion business, or you can use it to grow in that way as well. So that's what I recommend. Okay, so that's why I love this business model. That's why it has been something on the side for me, like kind of like a hobby, but it has always been consistent for me. Alhamdulillah, it has generated me quite a lot of money, alhamdulillah, as well. And I want to pass that on to you. So the number one the reason, and I've made mistakes, right? When I first saw this property, when I first saw this business model, it was introduced to me by an uncle who showed me that he showed me an apartment, and it was literally an apartment, nothing different than probably your apartment, except it had the necessities of what a guest would expect. So things like obviously a bed, nice to have TV, internet, kitchens and stuff like that, right? Very simple stuff that we don't need to get into right now. We'll talk about that in the 3-day challenges in the description. But at first, I saw that property that he showed me. It was not so special, right? So that's what I started off. And I started off charging around, when I did it myself, I was charging on average like $150 or something like that per night on the weekdays, and the weekends around $225. But because of the way what I've learned over the years, and because of the way that we do our 2-week setup now, we're charging 2 to 3 times more than that. So now we're charging $400, $450, $600, sometimes $700, sometimes even $1,000 a night because of what we've learned over the years. So let's get into it. Number one is definitely location, right? Well, this is real estate, right? So just like if you were to buy a house, if you were to invest in a property, if you were to invest in real estate, whether it be land or development site or a property, if you're looking at location, right? What's around it? How close is it? What's the proximity to the city? What's the demand around the area? Like those kind of things you look at. And it's similar to when you're doing this business model of rental arbitrage, Airbnb, hosting for travelers. You're looking for a place that's closer to the city. You're looking for a place that's in demand, that has groceries, that has restaurants, that has cafes, that has nightlife, that has entertainment around. And so that when tourists come in, right? And there's a side conversation is like, depending on who you're making this property for, well, who your target market is. Like, for example, if your target market is business travelers, it would be different than if your target market was like a party town, for example, right? Or if your target market was travel nurses versus your target market is families, right? Different, or solo travelers versus families, right? These are different target markets. It would kind of determine how you would go about with the rest of the setup. So number one is location, right? Closer to the city is always great. Closer to the attractions, closer to the entertainment, closer to the restaurants, convenience. It's all great. Obviously transportation. So that's number one is location. What allowed us for us to do this really was because we're in a good location. We're literally a block and a half away from the subway train station, and that train station goes to the city in about 10 to 15 minutes of just the train ride. So it's very convenient, and it's surrounded by cafes, restaurants, surrounded by even like nightlife, surrounded by good entertainment. So it's in a good place, so it has demand and it has convenience, and so guests love the idea of that, and so they're willing to pay a little bit more for that convenience. So that's number one, location. Now number two is the setup. That's something that I've learned over the years, and it has really allowed us to do that. Now you could be, like you could have a property that is still in the same location and is close to the train station. It's close to the nightlife, close to the entertainment, close to the restaurants, close to the groceries, close to everything. But the problem is that place doesn't have, it's not attractive, okay? Right? Two people could be from the same city, but one person could be more attractive than the other person, right? So the attractive person will have more demand than, or more attraction, or whatever it is, than the not so attractive. It's the same thing with your property or your listing. So that means you have to present it properly, right? So for example, even if two twins are together, right? Two twins, meaning I have a 1-bedroom apartment, you have a 1-bedroom apartment, and let's consider them twins. If I dress up my twin better than your twin, and I'm able to present it better than yours, guess what? Mine is going to have more demand, even though essentially it's the same thing, right? We could literally have a 1-bedroom apartment in the same building, but if my presentation is better than your presentation, that's what matters, because people are booking on the site. Presentation matters, and that's what we talk about in the 2-week setup that it's in the 30-day challenge. But that what I say is like you have to make the place look nice. It's invest in making it, like designing it, invest in making it look good, making it attractive. And that's what has allowed us, because we made it attractive. We put a theme around it. It made it look nice, attractive. It drew attention. It drew the click. People liked it. People were willing to pay a little bit more than if it was just a regular place with just nothing special, extraordinary, right? That's pretty much it, right? We didn't have anything else. We didn't have extra amenities. We didn't have no laundry. We didn't have no washer and dryer, nothing. We just had a better, attractive listing, right? So that's number two. So first one was location. Number two is attraction, or more attractive. And number three is pricing. Now, that's what I always recommend. Pricing is really important, right? So why would you, like for example, why would you want to charge less when you could charge more, right? And that's my philosophy. If you could charge more for a property that's worth it, then, and people are willing to pay more, why would you charge less? Okay. And typically the higher the person who spends more is a better client anyways, better guest anyways. So what I've done is, especially in the past, in this year specifically, I made a focus of raising my prices and keeping my prices high. And that's what happened here. I kept my prices high, and I used some of my other strategies, and I got booked earlier, and this became $12,000. Like if I kept my prices lower, maybe it would have been around 7,000. Like for example, for the previous month and this one, we did 7,000, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, so we did like 7,000 or like 6,000. 7,000, but some of it was to another account. But let's say it was 7,000. This month it would have been around 7,000, maybe 8,000. But the reason why it was 12,000 is because I had my pricing higher, and that's very important. So you want to play that game of pricing as well, right? You want, when you have more time to get booked, you want to keep your pricing high. But that's more of a detailed thing. The main point that I want to share with you here is this is literally what has allowed me to generate passive cash flow that I can use and deploy, right? I can use to pay off my car note of $1,000. I can use to pay off my telephone, my T-Mobile business plan. I think we have like 7 lines or something like that. I just paid like $389, $400, right? I can use this for my food expenses, right? Which is, I don't know, like probably more than $1,000. Yeah, so like, and like whatever other else expenses I have, so like these are the things that are beneficial and what you can do when you create that cash flow, okay? It's all about creating leverage, and you can create leverage by, if you don't have the money to invest in a house, or maybe you may have the money, but you gotta look at what's your focus. If you have the money, it's like, you know what, my focus is to create more cash flow, so I can just create more cash flow, then maybe it's better that you do this model where you invest in other people's properties or rent out other people's properties to other people so that you can generate more cash flow. Like for example, right now, let's say 200K, I can put it down at a $1 million house and get one house, right? Or I can take the 200K and I could get, maybe I could probably get like 6 different units. And each unit, maybe let's say on average making me $8,000 a month. Well, that's $48,000 additional revenue per month. And let's say my profit margins is about 50% typically. But let's say 40%, that's normal, so times 4, that will be around an extra. So literally that 200K, I could generate an extra profit of $20,000 if I got 6 units versus if I took that 200K plus closing costs and all that kind of stuff and put it in a house, right? It would take me longer to break even, and it is what it is, right? So that's what I had to share with you here. This is the case study of how we're literally able to take other people's properties, other people's money. This property was invested in, we're using other people's money and also using other people's credit. We were able to do that to generate $12,000 a month. And if your question is, how much do I get to keep? Well, I get to keep on this one over like 80%, I believe, something like that, right? It's not lower than that. And that's because of the skill set. And I want to share the skill set with you. So if you're interested in learning this and being able to create a cash flow to replace your 9-to-5 or have additional income from anywhere in the world until you get to that point where you can finally replace your 9-to-5, then I urge you to check out the 3-day challenge in the description below. If you have any questions, leave in the comments. Much love. I'll see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.